Well, good morning. It's foggy here in Centralia, Washington. This little blue EV sign is something to always keep an eye out for. Most electric vehicle chargers are not well marked, but if you see this sign, that tells you electric vehicle charger. This reminds people not to park here so that we can charge our vehicles. I'd like to introduce you to the West Coast Electric Highway. West Coast Electric Highway. Ooh, kind of a cool graphic thing. Anyway, this is the EVagabond network, and they're responsible for a lot of the chargers up and down the West Coast, with the idea that you would be able to drive the entire West Coast in an electric car. Well, hello, somebody forgot about Northern California. Sort of important, but we'll get to that. Anyway, this big thing that's blinking the green lights on top, well, these are nice and easy to spot. These are the level 3 chargers that I can't use them. They don't work on my car. But, you know, if you get one of those cars that they work on, there it is. This little thing is my pal, my little level 2 charger. You see the little black box on the left with the red stripe? I'm going to need a fob. Here's a fob. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slap my little fob against that box, and the little green light blinked, and I'm waiting for something to happen. Ready to charge. Nice short cord, barely reaches my car. But it reaches, and that's what matters. Waiting for the lights to light up. There we go. We're charging. We're live. Vehicle charging. So the AV network is something you can do by subscription, so I do that. $20 a month gets me all the level 2 charging I want. I think it's $30 a month to get all the level 3 charging you want. You know, if you live near these kind of chargers, or you're planning a road trip, you know, that's the easy thing. You subscribe, and all you have to do then is slap your little fob on this little charger thing. So, yay for that. Kind of a grim spot full of fast food and gas stations and strip malls. Very near the freeway, which is convenient. Kind of noisy, you probably notice. But that's okay. Chargers work. That's what matters. So from that Bellevue office park, I drove 60 miles or so to Lacey, Washington, where there is the Department of Ecology, and they have 10 plugs. Now they're all those double or duo plug charge points, which means they might be shared, but I didn't investigate because I was tired. You know, it was nighttime, so I didn't have to share. There was only one other car charging, and nobody was even with that car. It was still there when I left. Nice place to catch a little rest because it's near the freeway and easy to get to, but not very loud, and awfully well lit, so I guess that's good for security. And nice row of trees nearby, so it kind of smells nice there. Got down in the 30s, but it didn't freeze. I didn't have to shake any ice off my blanket. I did that on my last trip. Bunch of ice on my blanket every morning. That's because I sleep with the hatch open. I just, you know, catch a little shut-eye in the back of the car. You know, what I'm doing while my car's charging is more or less my business. Not bothering anybody. Sleeping in the car. So now I'm in Centralia, which is not that far, which I wanted to do, stop soon rather than later, because I was running the heat. Running the heat uses a lot of your charge, and so you want to avoid that usually, but since it was in the 30s and my car was fogged up inside, I kind of had to do it. So I did it. First I ran the heat while the car was plugged in. A little trick I learned from another EV driver. While the car was plugged in, turned on the accessories in the car and ran the heat for a bit so I could leave with a full charge and a warm, defogged car. Now, they didn't last very long. I had to turn the heat back on while I was driving, but I knew I'd make it to Centralia. It was only 20-something miles away. So now I'm in Centralia. My next stop is Castle Rock, which is also on the AV network. And I just wanted to make sure I was going to get there because it was 60-something miles, and I'd probably make it, but it's cold, and the car doesn't drive as well when it's cold. I mean, it needs more electricity. It needs more charge when it's cold, especially if you're running the heat or the air or the AC. Those things really drain your battery. So there's also a significant elevation gain, as I recall from previous drives. So I want to make sure I'm going to make that, and so I'm going to charge here in Centralia for, pretty much as long as I can stand it here in the Wendy's parking lot. So everybody has their rules of travel. One of my rules of travel is to avoid corporate food. Nothing personal about Wendy's, especially. It's just not my lifestyle to eat corporate food. Just like it's not my lifestyle to charge at the Arco. Fill up a gas tank at the Arco. Corporate gas pollution. So, you got your rules, I got mine. I'm sharing mine with you in case you want to adopt them or modify them or laugh at them, knock yourself out. But I'm going to try not to stay in a motel. I'm going to try not to stay at a campground, or maybe I'll stay in one just to show you how. And I'm going to try to avoid corporate food. And that's it for now. Thought I'd try the dash cam. To keep this thing from falling over. But anyway, here I am with Elise driving south on Interstate 5. You might have noticed earlier in the trip I was avoiding Interstate 5. That was intentional. Driving through Seattle is something I prefer to avoid, and I will generally choose the scenic route, partly because I can drive slower. And I know what you're thinking. Can't wait to get a zippy little Fiat and zoom down the road. Well, you can do that, and believe me, Elise can zoom without the Z part. It just sort of boom down the road because Elise is quiet. So anyway, what I'm doing here is I am following trucks. Lots of large semi-trucks on the highways. You're going to travel from Tehachapi to Bakersfield. It will be you and a lot of trucks probably. So you might as well make the most of them. And I like to pick a truck and follow it. I don't know how they feel about that, but they don't really get to choose, just like I don't get to choose, about breathing their exhaust. So this is my pace car. Trucks tend to go slower than cars. Sometimes they're required to go slower. On this road right now it says 60 mile per hour speed limit for trucks and 70 for cars. And I don't want to go 70. I want to go 60, and I'll tell you why. Not because I'm a spoiled sport, but because I get better mileage driving slower. Everybody does. Every vehicle on the road gets better mileage by driving slower, and that's why the 55 mile per hour speed limit was introduced in the 1970s during some gas crisis thing. So here I am following my truck. Right now I'm going 58. This is great. 58 is great. Sorry, I didn't mean to rhyme. That was accidental. So there was a truck lane back there couple miles back, and I got right in that truck lane. It doesn't say trucks only, it's for trucks to go slow in, and whenever I see one of those I hop right over and get in that lane and I go slow, because usually that's going uphill where I most want to go slow. And I'm talking about hypermiling, HYPERMILING, one word, hypermiling, and you can Google that and you'll get lots of articles. But if you Google jellyfish hypermiling, you will almost certainly get the article in Mother Jones magazine that I read about hypermiling when I was first getting my electric car, which simultaneously was when I first got my driver's license. I know that's a shocker because I am in my 50s, and most people, if they have never had a driver's license in their 50s, aren't about to get one. But, you know, like I said, I'm not normal people, and I didn't drive for a long time because I didn't want to. I didn't like the internal combustion engine. Did not like the pollution that comes from burning fossil fuels. Call me weird, but it's catching on. I gotta open the window or something because it's steaming up in here. That's probably too loud. I'm trying to avoid running the air, because that will use up too much of my fuel. Castle Rock, 18 miles, 74 miles to Portland. Almost there, people. Well, almost to Portland, but I think I will keep going after Portland. This is fun! Whee! Good times! Hypermiling. You want to drive efficiently in any vehicle, but people in electric cars are more inclined to want to drive efficiently in order to spend less time charging and more time enjoying their travels. State Patrol. I did get pulled over for going too slow once. That was not a problem. I was trying to get home. It was late at night. My charge was low. I wanted to make it. I didn't want to stop. So I was driving slow on a back road, and when I saw headlights in my rearview mirror, I slowed down even more and drove with my right side, passenger side tires on the white line, which is a way of communicating, please pass me. Now, if you don't like to be passed, you're going to have a problem, but you can drive however you want. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just giving you advice based on my 72,000 miles of electric car driving, most of it on road trips. And you can take or leave my advice. That's what it's there for. You can take it or leave it. But as I was saying, I was communicating to the vehicle behind me, please pass me, by slowing down and driving on the white line. And it was a county road. It was nighttime. There were no other cars. So I figured they'd take me up on my offer and zoom on by. But they didn't. They started flashing their lights. They turned on their police, state patrol, flashy lights. And so I pulled over. And they were concerned that I was driving slowly and driving on the white line, and they wanted to know if I was aware of what I was doing, and I think they just were maybe worried I was drunk or stoned or something. Pot's legal in Washington State. I was neither drunk nor stoned, and I reassured the officer I was just trying to get them to pass me because my electric car was running low on charge, and I was just trying to make the last 10 miles home. And they let me go, and no hard feelings, because, they're just doing their job. And I was fine. So, end of story. Try not to hold up, cars behind you, other drivers. Try not to, put them through undue inconvenience. Unless they're being a jerk, and then, slow and slower. At your own risk. Take or leave my advice at your own risk. Your mileage may vary, as they say. So I'm following my truck. Looks like the camera's still going. Foggy morning here, wherever I am, north of Castle Rock and south of Centralia. Interstate 5, not that far from the Oregon state line. 63 miles according to the milepost to the Oregon state line. So I had to make that, not too long from now. So I'm going to stop talking.